people, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about the anxiety struggle of internship and beginning internship and searching for internships. It's just me, the poor doctor here, and we're going to talk about music therapy internships in particular. But medical residency is not too far off. I'm gonna let y'all know because I've looked it up. Anyway, so here we go. Now, when it comes to internships, I'm just gonna throw it out there. No school helps. Nobody's school helps. Like, it doesn't matter whether you go to like a private institution, a music institution, a business institution, like, nobody's school helps you find an internship. It's really all about like who you know. So, for example, at Harvard, let's just say they had a music therapy program at Harvard. Going into your interview, you have a leg up because, oh, I go to Harvard, you know? But the thing is that Harvard University has so many other students that they got to keep track of. They're not going to spoon feed you an internship if they had a music therapy program. I mean, it's not possible. They could provide resources, they could help you narrow down the search, which Harvard actually does in terms of research, but for music therapy, it would probably be following the same exact lines. It's just that you're not going to get spoon-fed, you're not going to, it's not going to be set in stone for you like your classes are. And that's something that a lot of people kind of blame the university for, like, not helping them find an internship, not helping them find a job. But I'm just going to throw it out there that that's every university and it's like every major. Everybody has the same exact issue. Unless your parent, like, works in the field or somebody you know, somebody you're related to, like, everybody's got to fend for themselves and it sucks. So, anyway, so trying to find a music therapy internship, well, it's really easy. Like, you just go on the website. Let's say you want a national roster one. That's like the easiest, right? So you go on, you search national roster internships, and then it comes up with like a whole list. The list, because I did this, the list is outdated. So it's always important to kind of, at least like, this was actually pre-spreadsheet days. What? Pre-Google Sheets, pre-Excel. Now I'm a finance individual and that's all I do. But before I started my internship, I wasn't really comfortable, believe it or not, wasn't really comfortable using Excel or Google Sheets. So I used whatever document. I think it was Google Docs, but whatever, it was like Word, Google Docs, something like that. And then I just wrote down all the internships with the content, all the internships I was interested in. Honestly, it was just all the internships on the East Coast because I didn't really want to move elsewhere. I don't really like, not to be rude, but the middle of the United States, the South, they're not for me. I don't really go fit in there. I haven't really spent that much time on the West Coast, but 21-year-old me wasn't ready to make that decision either. So I wanted to stay on the East Coast. Anyway, so just went down the row and found a couple of internships on the East Coast, and then I just wrote down like contact information and email, and that's what I did. I just emailed all the ones I was interested in. It would have been so much easier if I did this on a spreadsheet, but at the time I didn't. And I remember there were some like really good ones. Like there was a Jewish nursing home that I was really interested in. There was like developmental disorder private practices that I was really interested in. I think I did apply to a couple in like Louisiana, but actually the ones that I'm mentioning, they were inactive. So that's something to keep in mind. Also too, when you go on the national roster website and you search these, the dates of the application are also incorrect. So that was something too. Like there was this one internship in New York, and like in New York State, and it said that the application was due like February 16th. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird considering all these other ones, they're due like December 31st or June 31st. Like, why is this February? So I ended up contacting them, and then it turned out that, oh, you know, we actually, our due date is June 31st. If you apply, you know, this June, you won't get in until 2019. You know, so like, which at that time, yeah, it was like 2 years, well, less than 2 years away, but I didn't want to wait until 2019, like, just, because then I'd be, like, waiting until, like last fall, I would have been in the internship, so, yeah, so, like, anyway, it's good to, like, email, once you get, like, the list together of everyone you're interested in, it's good to just email everybody, say that you're interested, ask about the process, ask what they're looking for in a future intern, because a lot of people don't ask that, and that's, like, that's an important question, and it kind of makes you stand out. So, yeah. So anyway, so do that for national roster, and then by the time you go sort through the list, depending on how many you have, at least for me, it was like that I got down, once I like heard back from everybody, there were 3, like that, okay, their applications aren't due yet, so I can like, I have time to do that, they're not located too far, whatever, like, you know, I can make it work. Now, the struggle comes when you're applying to local internships. Now, my university, they actually accepted local over national. I still to this day don't really know why, but they actually liked when you applied to local internships, and usually it was set. So if I wanted to do a local, like I remember there was this local internship in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and if I wanted to do it, like, you know, I had to submit the paperwork and like do an audition tape and shadow, but once I followed the procedure, I was like a guaranteed in. And some people like that, but the thing, I didn't like that because I couldn't afford to go 6 months without pay. And it is pretty darn ridiculous. Like, I mean, I mentioned in another video, like, my MBA residency and how it costs a lot of money, but, it is paid, like, you do get a stipend. And then same with, like, medical residency, like, you do get paid. And you don't make like as much, like in medical residency, you don't make as much, you don't even make close to as much as you make as a doctor, but you still get paid. And that's the one thing with like these local internships that like I just didn't like the idea of giving all this time and all this effort and not getting paid. Plus my parents were not going to support me, like, hell no. They cut me off at age 18 financially, and like, unless I'm living on a park bench, they weren't gonna help. They couldn't. I should say, not that they didn't want to help, but they couldn't help. Like, they had to, you know, they had to help themselves before they helped others. And, you know, as a parent would feel, I feel this way as a parent too, you know, you just went to school. You went to every university is expensive. You went to a university, like, and you're still asking for money and you still aren't getting paid. Like, something's wrong here. So I didn't really have an option to do a local internship and go 6 to 9 months without pay. So, even though it was guaranteed. So I went ahead and did national roster internships. And I applied and I auditioned, and it was really stressful. It was really stressful because like they didn't get back to you. So I was going to start my internship in September, and then they didn't get back to you until May. And then if you didn't get into the national roster internship, like, you had to apply to a local one. But at that point, all the local ones, like, all the good ones were probably filled up. So it was a really, really, like, it was a horrible experience. Like, this, the timing of everything was really off. And the fact that, like, some schools, like, you do your internship the year after you, like, after your senior year, and some schools, you do your internship, like, that spring semester of your senior year. Some people start in the summer, some people start in the fall, some people start in the spring. Like, all of that timing stuff didn't help, because then not the applications, that was fine, but it was just hearing back because of the timeline. Like, every school was different, but then every, like, internship is a little bit different as to when they want you to start, and that nobody communicates with anybody. Like, unless, and that's another thing too, is a local internship, they often communicated with the school. They often had a deal with the school. So there was no issues of missing a final to begin, like, training. You know, whereas a national roster internship, like, while they were a national organization and you trained with the employees, so, like, they didn't, like, kind of care, you know, if you still had school, if you had juries, like, well, we offer 2 training dates a month, so if you can't go to the May one, then you're gonna have to wait till June to start, you know. So it was very stressful, and it was very unorganized, and it's honestly ridiculous. Like, a lot of people complain about the like, being a I keep comparing it to residency as a doctor, because it's a good way to put it into perspective with another career. So residency as a doctor, like, it's kind of the same sort of way, where you have your match day, and it's very stressful, and, you know, you don't know if you're going to get the placement that you want, but at least the thing is that, like, with doctors and, like, student teaching and MBA residency, like, all of this stuff has been established. So I feel like, yes, there are issues, there are kinks in the system, there are times when doesn't line up. But with music therapy, it's so much newer that a lot of times I feel like some issues could be resolved. Like, if we, you know, continue to do this internship, well, this whole timeline thing will resolve itself in, like, 50 years, you know? But, like, the profession hasn't been around for that long. So it's like teaching, for example, and, like, nursing clinics, like, these fields have been around for a long time. They figured out the kinks, and they're not, like, the kinks aren't too bad, whereas music therapy, it's still new. So anyway, it was stressful, and I'm just gonna say that, like, it's up to you, you know? Like, I didn't have a choice. So I had to get a national roster internship or a local internship that was gonna, like, give me a stipend. I wasn't asking to be paid, like, but at least, like, a stipend, at least, like, I needed $6,000 for 6 months, or $9,000 for 9 months. I thought that was fair, and still, as a finance individual, that is fair. But nobody was gonna give that to me, unless it was a national roster scholarship or internship, and I couldn't afford going through with it, like, you know, if that wasn't the case. But it's up to you. Like, if you need the money, national roster, and you gotta go through all the struggles that we all had to go through. But if you're okay with, like, not getting paid for 6 to 9 months, then, like, yeah, local's the way to go, because then you don't have to worry, and you can, you know, get an internship, like, you know, if you wanted to apply or get one set in March, you could. If you wanted to wait till the last minute, you could, you know. Anyway, so that's that. And it was really stressful, and it was really horrible. Anyway, so then finally I got a national roster internship. So not only it's hard to get it, right, but it's even harder to stay there. And that was, like, one of the most, it was great, it was really exciting, but I needed to take, like, 2 months off. And 2 months away from everything. Like, I just left. Like, I didn't want to work. I didn't want to, like, not, like, socializing was fine, but it was like, I can't go straight into this internship. I can't like go home and have a normal summer. Like I need to travel, I need to get away, like I need to clear my mind mentally and get myself prepared for this internship. And that's a wonderful way to think about it, believe it or not. I recommend that before you start med school, you go on vacation. Before I started my MBA program, I went on a long ass vacation. And I did the same thing before I started my internship. And it really does make it more bearable, or gives you something to daydream about when the struggle is real. So finally, the summer is over and I started my internship in the fall. And it was really stressful. So my internship, believe it or not, was actually down the street from my where I was born. It was the hospital I was born at. So my internship was in a specialized hospital, but the hospital I was born at was like the local hospital, which was kind of cool. So I was familiar with the town. I didn't live we lived in when we lived there as a family, we lived in a blue collar town, whereas at my internship I was living, and remember housing was provided, so I didn't pay for anything, but I was living in a really rich town. So it wasn't exactly the same town, but I was familiar with the area, which was kind of cool. Anyway, when I moved into the space, cause it was provided for me, the room was so small. It was New York size, studio apartment small. It was ridiculous. But I mean, it was free, so I wasn't gonna complain. So anyway, I moved all my stuff in, and whenever you move your stuff in, I don't know, you get this empty feeling inside, unsure, unstable feeling inside. I used to get it in college too, but this time it was even worse because I actually didn't know what was going to happen at my internship. I had no idea what to expect. And national roster internships, people get kicked out all the time. People get kicked out of local internships too. You're not immune. And that was really scary to me because what if I got kicked out? What if I didn't finish? What if I didn't graduate? Then it was all for nothing. What am I supposed to do? So all of that stuff was running through my head, and thank God one of my best friends, she met me at my internship, and we went out and we had a wild night, and it was exactly what I needed. So that's what happened, and that was kind of, I guess, the theme of the internship. So one of my friends, actually, she's older than me, and at her grad party, her and her roommates in college were discussing their clinical experience. One of them was a nurse, one of them was a psychologist, and one of them was a teacher. So they were all talking about their experience in the clinical fashion. And they all agreed and stated that in order to keep themselves sane during the clinical experience, they went out every night. They drank a lot. And I remember them telling me that, and this was 3 years before I started my internship, because like I mentioned, they were older than me. So then when I got to my internship and when I was actually in it, that is exactly what I did. I went out every night. I had lovely beverages and watched stupid reality TV, and that's how I kept myself sane. Every Monday I used to get Wawa coffee because Wawa coffee is the best, and then I just did little things, sometimes I did a face mask, I painted my nails a lot. Again, that was something that I got yelled at for having funky nail colors. I pierced my ears multiple times. But I did a lot of crazy stuff during my internship. I did a lot of stuff that I'll look back on now and I'm I can't believe I actually did that. That's not me. But it was just how, I didn't know how else to handle the stress. And I'm not alone. Like I said, my friend, like the roommates, now people I talk to that are like, you know, in a residency, they like, you know, they'll go out a lot, or they'll smoke, or they'll do stuff that like they never thought that they would do just to handle the stress. And that's exactly how I felt. Like, I felt like I had to go out and escape, whatever that may be, just for like 2 hours a day. Now, the stuff I participated in was not healthy. I probably should have just gone for a walk or gone to the gym, and that would have been a great escape. But I don't know, in my internship, I felt like I needed something a little bit stronger. And I feel like a lot of people, this happens. And it's okay, like, it's just a phase, you know? But it's kind of sad when you think about it, that you're putting somebody through all that stress to become a music therapist. Like, music therapy is great and it's wonderful and it's a beautiful thing. But again, we can't save lives, you know? Like, nobody is gonna, if somebody comes in here with, and their head is bleeding and their skull is cracked and they're like, oh, that one, was it It? There was a Stephen King novel where this doctor, he ends up like working at a university in Maine, and there's this guy who in a car crash, and he's like bleeding all over the place. I totally forget what. Oh, it was about the animal farm, or the not Animal Farm. The it's on the tip of my tongue. The pet funeral, something like that. But like that, like if somebody comes into our office bleeding like that guy did in the movie, like, I'm sorry, but us as music therapists, we're not gonna be able to help. We help people mentally, we help people clinically, we help them with their daily tasks, we help them feel better. But when it comes to something life or death, we cannot help. And it's sad, like, it's sad that as music therapists, we're put through a lot of stress and we do things or not do things. Maybe some of you might have cried, and that's totally fine too, but it's hard. It's hard that, like, you're putting yourself, and that kind of got me down a lot. Like, why am I putting myself through this? Like, I can't save anybody's life, you know? But you do have to remember that you do make a difference, and it is important to get this clinical training. That's why, you know, it's for the clients. Yeah, even if you can't help them in a dire emergency, you can help somebody in some way, and you do make a difference. But sometimes it's hard to see that, especially when you're in it and it's 6 months, and 6 to 9 months, like, it's not really that long, but when you're beginning an internship, like 9 months, that's how long it takes, like, when you're pregnant. That's a pretty darn long time for an internship. You know what I'm saying? But in the whole scheme of things, it's not that bad. And that's the main goal here, is that I was very stressed and anxious, as you should be, because that means that you care. But it goes by pretty darn fast. And, like, before you know it, you're at the 3-month mark, you get your review, right? And then once you pass the 3-month mark, like, you're flying with applying to jobs. Like, you can start applying to jobs. And that was kind of like a good thing for me, because, like, you know, it's not, when you think about 3 months, like, your first, at least my first month was all training. It was all shadowing for 1 month. So technically I only had 2 months to go before I applied for jobs. And that was really like a saving grace for me. And then I got a job, like, pretty darn instantly. And then, okay, well, now I have a month and a half left and I have a job lined up. And that's, like, such a great feeling. And that's something that I want you all to think about when you're going through the stress, that, like, you can make it, you will make it. You can do this, and that's what this channel is for, to kind of express and talk about things that most people don't talk about. I mean, I would love to tell you that, like, oh, I got, you know, great grades, and I had an amazing internship, and I got a job right after my internship. Then I became a supervisor, and then I got my master's, and now I'm working in a really darn good office. But it didn't all happen that easily. Like, there was a lot of struggles, there was a lot of crying, there was a lot of promiscuous, abusive, not like abusive, but rebellious behavior, self-inflicting pain. I think piercing your ears is definitely self-inflicted pain. And it took a lot of talking and exercise and watching movies, painting nails, going shopping to get through the struggle. So that way I could have this amazing career and these amazing things to put on my resume. But like, for everything amazing that you accomplish, you do accomplish, or you do, I guess, fail at too. I mean, like, I got a job like while I was in my internship, but I applied to 100 jobs, okay, and I only got like 5 interviews. So like, you gotta put it into perspective that like, okay, it wasn't a walk in the park, you know. And that's like just something to keep in mind, you know. It's okay, it takes time, and you will accomplish it, and you will do big things, and heck, maybe you'll go for your MD. Maybe you'll go for your DO. Maybe you'll become a PA or a nurse practitioner, and you'll do big things, and it's all because of that music therapy internship. That's where we're gonna end it today. Okay, I hope that was inspirational, kind of put you guys at ease, sharing about my experience. And I would love to do more of these because I feel like we don't talk about music therapy internship enough. Sort of like, once you get through it, you kind of forget about it, and I think it's important to bring it up for sure. All right, have a great day, everyone. Bye.